In a vibrant town nestled between towering trees, there lived a boy named Mike. His parents were kind, full of wisdom, and carried hopes for their son that reached far beyond the football field. Mike, however, only cared about one thing: the game. Every day, the sound of the ball hitting the ground was his heartbeat, and the thrill of victory was all that mattered. He had natural talent, quick feet, sharp reflexes, but a heart that beat only for football. Mike's parents, though, proud of his skill, wanted more for him. They dreamed of a future where Mike could use his gifts to build something lasting, not just a game of fleeting victories. But Mike was stubborn, dismissing their hopes, and instead choosing to focus on the immediate rush of playing with his friends. One sunny afternoon, the field was alive with the usual crowd. Mike and his friends, all energetic and eager to show off their skills. The game began with excitement, as Mike led the charge, weaving through his friends, his feet quick and sure. The ball seemed to speak to him, whispering sweet promises of glory. But as the game wore on, Mike's competitive nature began to show its darker side. A disagreement over a goal turned into a heated argument, and soon Mike found himself in a full-on fight with his closest friends. Anger clouded his mind, and instead of enjoying the game, Mike stormed off the field, leaving a trail of hurt feelings and an unfinished match. Mike's friends stood still, staring after him. The laughter, once loud and free, faded into silence. For the first time, Mike realized the cost of his anger. He had lost more than just a game. He had lost something deeper. That evening, after the argument, Mike's father quietly called him into the living room. Mike, his eyes still filled with frustration, sat down, gripping the football in his hands. "Mike, I've been watching you," his father began, his voice steady but filled with concern. "You're so talented, but talent isn't enough. Winning on the field is only part of the story. What happens after the final whistle blows? What will you have left?" Mike glanced at the ground, his face flushed. "What are you talking about, Dad? I'm good at football. That's all that matters." His father sighed, his voice softer now. "You're good, Mike. But life is about more than just playing the game. It's about building something that lasts." The next day, Mike, feeling the weight of his father's words, headed back to the field. His feet carried him as if on autopilot, his mind racing with doubts. When he arrived, everything felt different. The sky was growing cloudy, and the air had an unusual chill. He felt an odd sense of unease, as if the world was watching him. Suddenly the wind picked up, swirling around him with intensity. The familiar field, once a place of joy, seemed to shift. The trees around the pitch bent in unnatural directions, and the grass whispered as if trying to tell him something. Out of the mist, a faint, shimmering glow appeared, drawing his gaze. The glow beckoned him, urging him to step forward. Mike's heart pounded. "What is this?" he whispered to himself. "Mike, come here," a familiar voice called out. Mike turned. His father, standing at the edge of the field, beckoned him forward. Mike walked toward his father, a mix of confusion and curiosity swirling within him. His father's figure seemed almost ethereal, standing in the middle of the strange, glowing mist. "Dad?" Mike asked, his voice shaky. "What's going on?" His father smiled gently, his eyes full of both love and sorrow. "Mike, this is the moment where you decide what kind of man you will be. You have a choice. Continue down the path of the game, chasing fleeting victories, or step forward into a future you've never considered." Mike looked around, the fog swirling around him, and then back at the glowing path. "But what about football? I don't want to give it up." His father nodded. "You don't have to give it up. Football will always be a part of you. But you must learn to balance your passion with your future. A game can only take you so far, but the choices you make, the values you hold, will shape the life you create. Mike's feet were rooted to the ground, torn between the game he loved and the future his father was offering him. His mind flashed back to the heated argument with his friends, the moment he walked off the field. He could still feel the sting of their disappointment, the emptiness that followed. He glanced back at the field. His friends were standing there, silent, waiting for him. But the glowing path ahead of him pulsed with an energy he couldn't ignore. It promised something more, something beyond just the game. He took a deep breath. "I can't just play forever," Mike whispered, more to himself than anyone else. "I need to grow." With one last look at the field, Mike stepped forward into the glow. The moment Mike stepped onto the glowing path, the fog lifted, and the world seemed to return to its natural rhythm. The sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm light over the field and the road ahead. Mike felt lighter, freer, as if the weight of his decisions had been lifted. "Remember, Mike," his father's voice echoed behind him. "You don't have to choose between your dreams and your future. You just need to find the balance." Mike smiled, finally understanding. He wasn't abandoning football. He was embracing something larger than the game. He could chase his dreams and still find time for what he loved. As Mike walked down the path toward his future, the game was never far from his mind. He could still play, still pursue his passion. But now, he had a purpose, a bigger goal. Behind him, his friends began to cheer, as if they too understood the importance of the moment. The field wasn't just a place to compete, it was a place to learn, to grow, and to be part of something greater. Mike's journey had just begun. The future was open before him, full of possibilities. And the game? It would always be there, a constant reminder of where he came from. But now, he understood that life was about more than just winning. It was about learning, choosing, and creating a legacy that lasted long after the final whistle blew.